still finish last.
Men are only good guys to then get into women's panties, and then when they get into the panties, they're no longer good guys.
All right, we're back and we're here with the lovely Ren as always. And she hit me up on to this clip you just saw about a good man. And when I saw it, there are a couple different things that went through my head, Ren. The first, I guess personally, I always get upset with this disdain that is spun. Like the young lady in her response, it's like I felt like there was such a disdain for men. Like you're too young to have such disdain for the opposite sex, especially if your desire is to one day partner, get married, have kids, all that good stuff. One. And two, we all want to have sex.
Right.
I get your number. I want to talk to you. As a woman, and this is as men talking, this is what I don't understand in these conversations online. Why is it a woman? And again, we're getting all about topic and bringing it back, but I want to talk to you. I want to get your number. I want to know because I'm attracted to you. There's a sexual attraction, even though that may not be the prime goal. That is a goal, and I'm hoping that that's something you see too. As a woman that I'm attracted to and you seem interested, I'm hoping we both have the same goal here. And that's kind of what you date to find out. Do we have the same goals for what we want for whatever this turns into? And I put it that way because some people aren't looking for a relationship. They're looking for whatever, but we're trying to see if our goals match. Much like we talked about last time, so dating and courting, you're trying to figure out if you match. Even if you're looking for a hookup, you still got to figure out if you match, if y'all looking for the same thing. And that's what I took from that. But the part about a man is only good until you let him between your legs. And then, no, let me back up. Okay. So it started off talking about, okay, do you think good guys finish last? Let's start on that point.
Right.
What do you think about that, Ren?
When I was younger, I didn't understand the concept of it because I always dated good men. I wouldn't be with you. I don't like assholes. I don't like arguing with people. I'm very woosah, sin, loner. So if you around my area, I need you to be chill. I need you to be calm. So to me, I love the good guys. I love the nerdy guys. That's what I was brought up to love. Hey Arnold was my crush as a child, So to me as a child, I'm like, good guys didn't finish last to me. But as growing up older, dating in this world that's so chaotic, I now understand what it means. It's the saying that women just like bad guys. It's that saying. Women like the bad guys because they are more exciting than the good guys. I'm a chill person, but every once in a while I like going out. We can't be in the house all the time.
Right.
But quote unquote a good guy probably wouldn't want to be in an environment that is too loud, too noisy, parties all the time and rowdy. So they want to sit home. Eventually that gets boring. And it's like, so I'm just supposed to be stuck in the house with you all day. So that's what why some men think you don't like the good guys because we're too boring. It's like, well, you need a balance. It has to be a balance in some way. That's why what I said last time on your show. I believe in balance. Yeah, you can be chill, but you can't just be boring all the time. Like life is not supposed to be just boring. But some people like the boringness. They like the quiet. They like the not drama all the time. So to me, that's what I think. How a man's perspective of the good guys finishing last because girls don't like boring and chill.
I agree with, well, I agree with that in some respects. But I
Mhm.
also look at it a different way. I look at good guys finishing last as in they get used and abused and taken advantage of.
Mm.
And the context of, you have a good man or what have you, but again, that boringness. A good man in theory provides stability, provides support, is dedicated, is, say, loyal, all those things, qualities that people say they want in a partner. But
Mhm.
you're right, there isn't that excitement. There isn't that, there may not be that spontaneity, um, that maybe some people would want. And I think it's weird because I saw I saw like a TikTok and they were talking about how all of these like romantic comedies, decided like Love and Basketball and all these different movies, the prime fantasy of these women is they cheated on the good guy with the guy that provided them with excitement and they found love with that person. Not saying the guy they cheated with wasn't a decent guy for them, but in all the situations they were with someone. And a lot of times these guys were portrayed as being maybe boring, maybe being safe.
Mhm.
And I think we conflate that with character, because being boring and being safe doesn't mean you're a good person. It just means you offer some sort of stability, and you don't do things outside of the back. You could be rotten to the core. You just don't necessarily treat that person that way. But the good aspect of it, in my opinion, in my experience, it really comes down to us men really see it as women use and abuse a man that is good to them. They take them for granted. They do not, I would say, they see their value for what they could get. And I think that's how many of us see that comment. And particularly because we see it, and we see it in it's weird because I understand that dynamic different now, being pushing 46 than I did maybe at 23, because I've experienced different things, but also I have friends that experience different things. And I've seen them experience things in their relationships and ending of the relationships and marriages where it's just like, how do you treat somebody like that who's only ever been there for you?
Right.
And that's why I would say, like, the good guy, the person who's there, who's loyal, who just, I've seen them in shit, just an instance now personally, just with some family friends where like they're just getting screwed and they gave everything to their partners and they're
Mhm.
being treated like they did something wrong. And these are, quote unquote, in every sense of the word, good men. And it's just like, oh, I'm done with you. I'm discarding you. And you know what? I'm going to just make your life incredibly horrible until I get what I want. And I have seen that. And again, different, sort of different circumstances, but I have seen that too many times in the past couple years of that happening. And I think that's where I maybe see it from now. Um, when I was dating back in the day, I don't know if I would have necessarily subscribed to good guys finishing last, because I always saw myself as a good guy. I never finished last. um, in that regard, I never felt as though I was on the losing stick when it came to dating. Uh, so, and I think also that good guy aspect is also used to describe someone who is not as easy on the eyes, maybe like even you said, like a bit more nerdy, but more of the traditional socially awkward nerdy, not the um me. To put into better terms, again, not to sound arrogant or whatnot, but I know that if you think of a nerd, textbook nerd, I am not the person you would think about. I'm not the person who would be in a dictionary. You know, we have glasses on, tape. pretty much irk with somebody like that. Socially awkward. I am none of those things, at least not at this point in my life. So I know you wouldn't think of, not you specifically, but in general. But I find it interesting that that is still such a theme. And even more so, like I said, the young lady, the disdain she had. And even in the comments of the video, it spoke about, yeah, you give them 3 months and then you give it up and then he's somebody new. I'm thinking, aren't we all somebody different after 3 months? That's 3 months of relationship. That's a relationship where we become sexually active, if based on what that says. Your relationship is not the same once you become sexually active for either one of you, because there's a different aspect that you've now opened up to each other that was not there before that happened.
Mm.
I think that when we have these conversations, one, it's too black and white, and it's really not that. And not saying you and I, but when people talk online, it's not, they never speak in grays or shades of gray. It's all black or white. Just like young ladies, like, yeah, they don't, they don't, they good until you give them some or what have you. I'm thinking, well, that's not all men, for sure.
But
That's definitely not all men.
it's so hard to pinpoint who's a good guy and a bad guy because even the bad guy thinks he's a good guy. Jafar thought he was justifiable taking over Agrabah because he was, in his head, was a slave, and he wanted to be just like everybody else. So even Gaston thought he was the good guy, and he was a total douchebag. Every guy thinks they're the good guy. It's all about what they think in their head.
Right.
Um, so it doesn't technically mean they're a good person. If I'm telling you you're an asshole and you looking at me like I ain't an asshole, I'm a good guy. I've been around you. My perspective of you is different from your perspective and how you
Right.
see yourself. It's like it's the same for that when people are just like you can't smell your own shit type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has to tell you like you smell like shit. If you're not going to notice certain things about yourself that somebody outside looking in would notice. Um, but what you saying is, yeah, if you're attractive nerd, I'm sure you get more play than a guy that got that stereotypical nerd look,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, Steve Urkel or Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory type of look. Um, but it's sad. It's messed up. But even women get taken advantage of too. When you just when people take advantage of people that do not speak up for themselves in general.
Right.
If you are timid and shy and quiet all the time, and you just meet an asshole's going to take advantage of that timidness and that shyness and that
Right.
quiet. They see it as an easy target, you know. Um, but yeah, it's like it's just the conversations I be seeing online is just so alarming to me. It's like
Yeah.
we all die old. Like you lucky you're married.
Right.
Because anybody else out here is single, we gonna die old, it seems like. Because it just seems like everybody's just want to make excuses as to why they not in a relationship. And it's sad. It's like, well, it's too much good pussy out here. It's too many niggas being niggery out here. It's like, well, the fuck? So you want to die alone. I'm just thinking about all the older people that be married for 50 years. And my generation just want to be like, fuck all that love stuff. Like, why? I'm just so scared being in the clinic every month. I'm just so scared getting pregnant by
Mm-hmm.
random niggas that I just don't like being bothered. But I don't know. It's this generation just feel like, oh, sex is just sex, and it's more complicated and difficult than that. And a good guy is not a bad thing. This is what I said when I was younger. When somebody told me about the good guy finish last thing, women marry the good guy. We settle down with the good man. That's what you want to marry. Somebody you know is going to protect you and your feelings. We play around with the assholes because they fun. They know they fun. They know they chaotic. They know they crazy. and they know they're going to get you excited and bring excitement into your life. And it's arousal to some women, that excitement. Um, it's not a good thing because women would date a man that's been with 100 women more than they would date a man that's been with 2 women. And it's like, well, what's the difference? Oh, well, he's been with 100 women. He probably good in bed. No, that doesn't mean he's good in bed. It just means he's been with 100 women. That's man with 2 women probably better than the man that's been with 100, because the man with 2 probably is more attentive to your needs than the man with 100 just want his needs to be met. So everything is not, as you said, black and white. It's
Right.
always a grayness in the area. People say, why you ain't married? Why you ain't single? Because y'all fucking assholes, and I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to be traumatized for the rest of my
Mhm.
life by a fucking asshole. You know, and
Yes.
generation just feels like, well, must got 100 niggas calling you and being with you all the time. No, I might got 100 niggas calling me on random shit on Facebook and Instagram, but that doesn't mean I'm with 100 fucking niggas.
Right.
it's,
Yeah.
it's dumb.
Exactly. I think at that point you said exactly. That does not mean you're entertaining them. They definitely are trying whatever they're trying. Doesn't mean you're entertaining them. There's something I wanted to, that I guess, kind of, now you push back and we kind of elaborate. A good man is a good man by committee. A good man is not a good man because he says he is. Just like, um, I don't think anybody gets to self-assess themselves. It's what the committee and what society says they are. So yeah, people think they what they are, and that's cool. You can, but it's what the committee and what the world says. So if the committee says that you're a good man, if people see what you do and how you act and say you're a good man, then that's what you are, or what have you. Not because you self-assess that title. And just like the whole alpha male thing, I was like, you can't, that sounds so stupid for you to say, yeah, I'm an alpha male. No, that's for everyone else to decide based on your actions and what the criteria are. You don't
Mm,
get to make that decision. And in my opinion, because I think it sounds so ludicrous for people to assess themselves in certain ways, just like women be like, I'm a 10. Like, no, that's not for you to decide. You may feel like you're perfect in this and that, but no, the criteria is by committee. The committee assesses what you look like and where you fit in the scale of beauty. Same thing with men. It's like, I think men in that regard are a bit harsher on themselves, personally speaking. But it's for the committee, the society, to say what you are, not you, because the scale is societal. The scale is by committee, your friend circle, your group. That's who assesses what you are, not you. At least in that regard, in the context of, oh, I want a good man, blah 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 blah. Like, I just think of all those like stereotypical abuse stories, and they're like this woman is getting, her teeth knocked in every night. And she's just like, but he a good man, he take care of me. It's like, no, he's not.
right.
The committee says he's not a good man because of his actions, his deeds, and how he carries himself in your relationship. That's who makes the decision who's a good man or who's a good woman.
Mm,
Period. So I find that interesting. And I think to that extent, we forget that we are a community, and we are judged by the community, not by how we think we are in
mm,
many respects. Um, Self-assessment is cool. You can have high self-esteem, you can have certain things about yourself. But like, just like you said, Javar thought he was a good guy, but his actions said he was the villain.
right.
And the rest of the community saw his actions and they say, nope, 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 nope. You're the bad guy. Nope, nope. You're doing the bad guy things. You have the bad guy motivations. Nope, you're the bad guy. But
Right.
I think we forget that in many respects when it comes to how we live. Yes, we want to be individual. Yes, I don't need nobody. I don't care what nobody thinks. But when we're talking about these grand terms about who we are and what we are, that comes from societal standards.
Mm,
Societal standards are, let's be frank. If we didn't have standards in our society would crumble in many respects. There's
right.
a reason that while I do not like the aspect of beauty standards, especially when it comes to modeling and whatnot, there's a reason why the beauty standard for modeling is a certain way. Outside of just the look, it's about the clothing, about how they want the clothing to fit, fabric, material. There are a lot of logistics that go into why modeling was the way it was and who they were selling to as well. Um, and while that has clearly changed in the years and become more inclusive, there's still even a standard for plus size women when it comes to modeling. So it's now use as an example of there's a standard that we adhere to, that we set criteria by, and we utilize that. And that's in really anything in life. So we forget that when it comes to our relationships. And you talk about relationships, I find it interesting. You talk about the bad guy being with the bad guy, playing with the bad guy, and then selling down the good guy. Just had a conversation with a friend of mine who is unfortunately freshly divorced and he's back out in the dating world. And he's having these conversations in these men's group, and the men in his church are pretty much like, I don't understand how, like, they're all of them are looking to possibly remarry again down the line, right? Those that are divorced and those that haven't been. And they're just like, okay, she's nice. But then it's like, and again, I'm not saying that anybody has to do what you don't want to do. And if you choose to abstain from sex, that's your personal choice and your decision. However, again, as a man, they're like, she's 40 whatever years old. She ain't never been married. She got a kid and she's done all these other things. But now she's like, don't want to have sex until I'm married. As a man, you look, okay, so you messed around with the bad boy. You got pregnant. You did all these other things. Now, since you want a good guy, you're now changing the rules, changing the standard, not wanting to. And again, you don't have to be, but it looks very hypocritical from a man's point of view, especially if, and then these are grown men. These aren't like little young boys looking to date. And he said that to me, and I'm like, damn, that's kind of crazy when you think about it. And again, people have choices, and I don't want to say that, oh, she's wrong for doing that. No, no, that's perfectly within her will to do that and make those changes. But as a man, you look at that, you're like, that doesn't compute. That doesn't make sense based on how you
Yeah,
live your life and how you gotten to the point.
right. Because me and my child father had this conversation. Um, I got pregnant by a good man.
Hmm.
I know him since high school. He's very involved in my life and my child's life. We're good friends. I had a baby by my friend. That's
Hmm.
why we had a problem. And we always have these conversations, debate, because he's married, but he sees all the other stuff that his friends talk about, and he wants a woman's perspective
Hmm.
outside of his friend zone and family zone that is going to be honest and real. And he knows he's going to talk to me about that because I'm going to keep it real. She evolved. That's just what it is. She evolved. And I see a man's perspective like, well, you had sex with him. Why wouldn't you have sex with me? It's like, because I don't want to have sex with you. What, I'm supposed to have sex with everybody because I had sex with this person, because I have a child? I'm just supposed to be like, well, fuck it. My life is over. Let me just fuck everybody who asked me to fuck them. Like, the fuck? No. Okay. If she feels like I've been there, done that. I want to evolve. I want to be better than I was the other day. That's her perspective.
Yes, and that's her, and I agree. That's her every right to. I don't think, in my opinion, and even conversation, I don't think we think that, oh, she's just supposed to fuck whomever. I just think that it's
And be like,
okay.
let me try and let me be better.
uh, We don't see that as being better
I know
because,
y'all.
but no, this is what I'm saying though, because it's not about you just willy nilly having sex. It's about the fact that you were indiscriminate and didn't value yourself in that regard. So now it's like I was having a conversation the other day, and not about this, but I think this fits. It's like we can never find a medium. It's like we're one way, and we realize, oh, we're at this extreme, and we just swing back to the other one. There's never a
Ask
point of
you a
trying to find a
question.
medium. Yes.
Why do you think she should have sex with your
No, no,
friend?
no. I don't think she should. It's not about whether she should or shouldn't. It's about the perspective of, okay, now I'm trying to get to know you. I'm not saying I'm trying to have sex with you, but I'm trying to get to know you. I'm trying to entertain you. And yes, to some extent, I'm like, just like we started off, I'm interested in having a sexual relationship with you just off the rip. And I'm hoping it's mutual. But then, okay, you're like, I want to wait until I'm married now to have sex again. Part of it is an age thing. Okay, we are 40 whatever years old. We're grown people. We've been there, done that. We ain't got that much time left. Okay, who knows when that's going to happen? Two, as a man, it feels like we are paying. If somebody we're genuinely interested in, we are being denied a part of this person that we're interested in, that we want to make a life with, because of what decisions she has made in the past. So
Mm,
so it's not like, oh, you're not going to have sex with me. Like that's a problem. It's the fact that it's like we're paying the price. Okay, so that's off the table because of everything you went through in the past. And now that's what I don't see it as evolving per se. It's a reaction. It's a reaction to mistakes from the past. At least like, this is my opinion, okay? This is purely
mm,
my opinion. I see it as a reaction because that reaction is, okay, I'm gonna lock up shop. I'm going to, try to entertain more in this aspect and that aspect. But a man sees it as, I'm now paying a price for what that man did to you, or your recklessness in your youth, which produced you however many kids you have or whatnot, or the one kid. But now you want to be married. And also, that goes back to this, and this is something I was talking about with another guy, track record. And this is the same thing with women as well. I think if we are entering into a relationship with anybody, and especially we look into a marriage, we want to know you're able to sustain a relationship. Relationships end, I understand that. And sometimes they don't end well. I understand that. But Ren, I hear these conversations online. I'm saying, like, do you actually understand what goes into a relationship? Like, do you know how to function as a partner to someone? Like, for
right.
real, as
And
an
maybe
adult. And that's what, like, I hear these conversations with men my age and they're dating, and there are so many women my age and your age who have no comprehension of what it is to be in a relationship and how to operate and sustain a relationship. And that goes along with, okay, now this is what I want. I want a relationship. I want to be married. I want to do this. I'm a lock up the goodies as a reaction because this is what served me wrong in the past. It has nothing to do with you being promiscuous. It's because you did not conduct yourself in a way to get what you want. If you wanted a relationship, then you conduct yourself in that way. You didn't conduct yourself. And now, me as someone who's interested in you, now I'm potentially paying a price for that. And that's how many men see it. I'm now being taxed.
so why men see it that way. I had the same conversation with my child's father. Like he says, why I gotta pay for the cow when it's already been milked or something. And it's like, yeah, things don't work out as they did as when they was children.
Right.
It's being young and trying to work that out just
Hmm.
didn't work out for us. So we moved on from each other. He's married now, been with his wife for years, since forever, and have another child. And then good, and they gone good.
Hmm.
But his wife had a past. and he knows his wife had a past. That
Right.
didn't stop him from loving her any differently.
Right.
You
It
know,
shouldn't.
people like so men are scared with women with children, and it's just, and they see it as that, as like what you said. It's like, so I should not date a man with 5 kids and 10 and 5 different baby moms. Is that what you're saying? Out.
Yes,
Oh well,
I'm
you're
definitely saying that. You should not do that ever in life. No,
okay. You're,
don't.
but in his head, he's like, well, they was just mistakes, and they was just like making excuses. Well, this happened and that happened, and da-da. Well, your track record is showing me that you don't know how to be in a serious relationship, and you
Yep.
taking as a joke because you have too many different baby moms. That's too many different personalities
Hmm.
fair. That's not fair. You're judging me on my past mistakes. Well, if I tell you my past mistakes, you're going to judge me for that. So where do we meet in the middle? Um, things happen. I understand that, but I think people just need to get to know each other. You really
I
got to
agree.
ask, if I have sex with you, does that mean we in a relationship? And I think people are scared to have these conversations. Are we going to be in a relationship if I give myself to you? Yes or no? And if you say yes, but you're lying, then like, okay, you want to be with me? Give it a couple weeks then.
Right.
And then in a couple weeks, if you're not tripping, if I still see you calling me, I still see you putting that pressure down, I still see you trying to do stuff, then maybe I'll open up to you.
Right.
But you can't just, she's obviously been through something that she feels like sex is just not what I want at this moment. And women, when they get older, they sex is not as high as when you're younger too. So she's just like, sex don't mean nothing to me. I need more intimacy than the physical. So that's a factor too. Like, I'm still young in my prime. I want to do it every single day and night, but it's just hard to do so because people be weird. This generation just freaking weird.
Yes, they are. No, I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. And I'm equal opportunity, and just like you talk about the dude with the 5 baby mamas. No, don't date him. No, he has shown he has no idea how to handle himself in a relationship. He has shown he does not have any discipline when it comes to his sexual activity. No, I am equal opportunity when it comes to that. If they show you, if you look at the whole facts, and you see they have no idea, they have a long track record of not performing like they understand a relationship, to not being disciplined when it comes to their sexual activity and impregnating people. Yeah, no, no, no pass. And for you to be, and for him to come like, I'm going to be abstinent for until I get married. No, you look at him with a side eye like,
Right.
and again, I have no issue saying it about in men. That's why I say with women the same thing. It's like men look at them with a side eye, like, "Are you serious?" But I don't think.
Right.
Well, I don't think, but I'm not a woman. But I can understand how women would see it the same way. But that's not. I would say a man hears that a whole lot more than a woman does from a man. Like, very rarely do you hear men say, "Oh, I'm abstinent right now because, I'm trying to do this, or I'm trying to move in a different space as far as my relationships." Very rarely do you hear that. Not saying it doesn't, but you hear it when it comes to women. And it comes from a place of, I have been messing up. And this is the only thing, in my opinion, it's the only thing in all these situations that I can control is sex. And honestly,
Well, women,
sex,
men say that to us all the time. Y'all control the marriage, we control
that's
the
true.
sex. So we should try to control the sex more. Like,
But
honestly,
that's
I
not
don't
the
have a
issue. See,
with it.
the thing is, the sex part of it is not the issue. The sex is a result of the issue. And I'm hearing these conversations, I'm hearing these stories I'm being told. And there's so many questions. I'm like, okay, but she's never done this, what she's never done. Like, so sex is the one thing you can control and you can address, but, and then this is men and women. Again, I don't want to just like, oh, I'm talking about women. Men and women, it is very much about you're not addressing the underlying issue that you have. You're not addressing why you haven't been able to fully commit. You're not addressing why you're not being a partner. You're not addressing why you keep picking the same type of guy. Um, and then having the same results. You're distilling it down to, oh, I need to lock up shop. No,
Hmm.
that is not. That's a end byproduct of everything. You having sex with this person and when, but there's so many other issues that we have, and you talk about intimacy. There's so much intimacy that happens before you get to sex. There's so many things that happen before you get to sex that are never addressed in these situations. They're never addressed in these conversations, and I think that's what going back to the whole good man thing. You address these things in conversation, in the courtship, and getting to know someone. So you don't get to the point where, oh, I have five baby mamas and I'm 45 and now I'm trying to find a wife. Or, you know, I, because I remember just watching Kevin Samuels and hearing some of those stories. And it's like, yeah, I'm 35 and I got three kids and I got a 1 year old, and two 5 year olds, and they twins. And yeah, the 1 year old, they have two different dads. And he's like, well, why ain't 1 year old's daddy? Well, he didn't work out. I'm like, so you're 35. You've already had three children and not been married. And again, I am not saying, oh, something's wrong with you. But if you say, oh, I was young, I made mistakes, you had two human beings by one man who didn't marry you. Why would you repeat the cycle? That's what a man would ask. If you say from your mouth that that was a mistake, that I was young and I made mistakes, but then you repeat them as an older woman, is that really a mistake or is that the sort of mode you've been operating in as a woman in your relationships? And I think that's where we as a man, when we see that woman at 40 and it's like, oh, I am going to not entertain in sex until marriage,
That's
we see that woman
well,
as, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, it's like if we go back to the Bible, like to the Bible's supposed to be the book of life. Okay, I know a lot of people don't believe in the Bible and Christian, but the Bible was a manual of life.
Hmm.
You're supposed to get married, then have the children. That's better success in relationship
Right.
wise. That's a success for you. But a lot of people ain't doing it.
Nope.
So they, I don't know why people are, I think it's like more people just scared to have a serious conversation, scared of
I agree.
real. And as soon as things start getting real, they run away. That's just what it is. They When things start hitting the fan, getting real, they bow out. Like I give up. Oh well, thank you for your time and your energy and the baby, but I'm out. It's crazy how that is. But for the Kevin Samuels perspective, yeah, so what should women do? Stop having sex? Every
Uh,
woman's just getting married before having sex? That's not possible.
Well,
If
I'm not
that
saying it
was,
should.
maybe more women would be married, but that's not happening nowadays. It's 2024. Like
I
it's just
agree.
not happening.
I agree. That's why I said the issue isn't the sex thing, and that is where my point of view comes from. The issue is not the sex. The issue is the corner phrase, the lack of emotional intelligence, the lack of vulnerability, the lack of honesty in our relationships. And much like you said, you have a conversation, you're honest with it. And male and female, I'm speaking of not just the women, but the sex is not the issue. The sex is never the issue, but that's the one thing you can control and directly address. We're not honest with ourselves when it comes to how we feel, and I hate to say this, and I say this because I talk to men. I talk to men, different age groups, different relationship statuses. For the most part, we feel as though we are always held accountable for our actions. We hold ourselves accountable. We will pull up like there are many times that we're like, yo, that ain't right, or you don't do that, or you know what you did was wrong, but I understand. We will pull up on each other and tell the our women will hold us accountable, even what we did is like not even really wrong.
Mm.
Women, and I hear this from other women I know. So I'm not saying all, but when I hear female friends talking about how they don't want to deal with their friends because you can never tell them anything, you can never hold them accountable for their actions, especially in their relationships. And I've seen it firsthand in many respects that I people have tried to say things to people that I know and they're like, "Hey, you're not doing this right. Like you're disrupting your relationship, or like you're not treating like one of my friends, like her girlfriends got on her like, yo, you're not treating your husband right." She cut them off because they tried to call her out for her bad behavior. There's a in my opinion, in my viewpoint, and again, I hear this from women. I have to reiterate it because this is not just, hey, this is what Webster Style thinks. No, this is what I hear from women, female friends. There
Mm.
is a gross lack of accountability when it comes to a lot of women and how they conduct themselves in relationships. And that extends to that, oh, I'm going to lock up the cookie shop until then the man that I want will be brought to me, or that would put me in a position to find that man. No, it won't, because those other issues, that lack of accountability, that humility, that understanding and tenderness, that wanting to be a partner, or whatever it is that you are lacking in relationship skills, that is still going to be there even if you are not having sex with that person. And those are the things that are never addressed or talked about. It's always, I'm going to stop having sex. Sex is not the problem. And that's what infuriates me. Sex is not the issue. It's everything that leads up to sex. It's all the brokenness that makes you have sex indiscriminately, male and female. It is the lack of the understanding of yourself. It's the lack of understanding what really means to be a partner to someone. All of those things are the issue, not the I'm going to lock up the cookie shop, or I'm going to, you know what, I'm going to lay off women for a year, and or lay off sex for a year, and I'll see how that happens in my relationships and how it fosters and blah 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 blah. And you start having sex again and you have the same issues that you had before. But nobody really talks about that part of it. Nobody is honest about that part of it. It's never the sex unless you got a
You're
real condition.
right. It has to start with a conversation first.
Yeah,
It has to.
you got to
The
talk.
sex is, but I can understand the sex part too, because men want the sex. They
We all
want
went to
sex.
sex.
Okay, but men want it very more than women. We women want more the intimacy than the sex. The sex is good too, but we want more of the intimacy and the connection.
Let me
But
say this. I'm gonna cut you off right there. I agree and disagree only because if a man is out there really looking for a relationship, like a relationship, he's looking for the intimacy too.
okay,
And I honestly think that and I've experienced this firsthand in talking about that very subject. When men talk about intimacy, women hear sex. Women hear us saying we want sex. And that is, I think sometimes we don't communicate it as well. And it comes off that way. And I honestly think other times the echo chamber, that's what they hear when we talk about intimacy, because I know full well that you don't get to sex without other aspects of intimacy. And any man that I know that wants to be in a relationship, they're looking and craving that intimacy. They're craving that emotional connection. Like it is, I'm speaking not from my own situation, but from others who are out there. It is hard, and all you want is just somebody to be there by your side. You want to have somebody to depend on. You want to have somebody to connect with. That men crave that connection just as much, even more so as we get older. Because
okay.
sex isn't everything. Sex is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But it is having that connection as
Hmm.
a man who is of a certain mindset. I put it that way because not every man has reached that point. I have.
Right. Mm.
It is about connecting with someone. It's about being able to literally pour yourself into that other person in that intimate way. Um, it's about that vulnerability. It's about being able to look into that woman's eyes and knowing that she got you and she just wants you and she just wants to make sure you're okay. Like
Mm.
there is so much there that we don't talk about, and then all that comes off is as sex. Sex comes from that. Excuse me. Making love comes from that. That mind blowing, earth shattering. Like you felt like you left your soul in that bedroom with that person. Sort of encounter comes from everything that leads up to that. Sex is just, hey, Ren, let's go do whatever, and we do whatever, and that's it. And there is, I won't say no connection, but there is not this buildup of us talking, us conversing, us getting to know each other, me learning what makes you tick, learning what makes you smile, listening to how things go in a day, being there for you just to listen. That sort of vulnerability, that's what leads to real intimacy, emotionally and then physically.
Mm.
And that is when we have these conversations, when women specifically, but men do it as well, when they lock up the goodies, they never address the issue of, okay, do I understand what real intimacy is?
It's
Have I,
confusing. If
yeah,
people confuse, because there's somebody with a 10-year friends with benefits relationship. And I'm like, y'all not in a relationship? No, it's just sex. It can't be sex
it
if
can't
y'all
be just
been
sex. 10 years,
good.
right,
It can't just be just sex. Y'all have to have feelings for each other. Y'all have to have love for each other. That does not make sense. I don't understand. It's just something about somebody's like psychological thing with them. I mean, I wish I knew the actual terminology because I'm sure it is because it's just for someone who's not a therapist that has the
right,
technical terms for people's behavior mechanisms. I would just say you're delusional. You
right.
know, this is why delusional be used so much because that's just the part you just have to say because it doesn't make sense. You say you love her, you say you can't live without her. You say she's your best friend, but you don't want to be with her. Y'all
Don't
not
make
have a relationship.
sense.
It's just sex. Y'all been doing that for 10 years. Y'all
Yo,
known each other since high school. Like, I don't get it.
how is
Why
that
are
possible?
so it's
How is
like
that
so
possible?
it's something that is just like they feel scared. I think that's like they scared to really be like, okay, you're mine now. And instead of just like y'all should have been said that. Like what's the issue? Like what did you oh, I don't want to lose my best friend. Y'all been doing it for 10 plus years. Obviously you haven't lost her. She didn't go nowhere. So it doesn't make sense, some of the stuff. And of course, women are traumatized. That's why it was an uproar on the internet about the man versus bear situation conversation. Because it's men is always going to think differently than a woman's perspective of thinking. When a woman said they rather pick the bear, men got offended. And it's like, well, it's a reason she's saying she's picking the bear, even though it's it's just a hypothetical situation, a conversation. If I'm
Right,
in the woods, I would hope to meet a man to help me get the fuck out the woods. Do you
right.
know how to get me out the woods? That's my perspective. But the woman's perspective, like, no, a man's in the woods because he's trying to hunt me, he's trying to attack me, he's trying to do something to me. I'd rather get attacked by a bear or see a bear than see a man, because a man knows that I'm a woman and did it. So a woman's perspective is always going to be a different perspective than a man's perspective. It's just too many men that be online just so thirsty for vagina. How are we supposed to think y'all not thinking about sex all the time? It's like I could be. I don't think I'm the shit, but it's plenty of niggas think, oh, you the most beautiful girl I ever seen. Cool. Is that a blessing or a curse? Because I'm still out here trying to find my soulmate. So it's so confusing this conversation because everybody has a different perspective of the conversation. That's not your perspective because y'all don't have the same vision. Y'all
Understand?
don't have vision and the same conversations that other people have. It's like to an outsider looking in, they probably think somebody got your whole life figured it out. And it's like, no, I'm still living. I'm still
Right.
figuring it out. As long as you're alive, you're gonna figure out things. Um, and what you thought when you was 20 and 19 is not what you're going to think when you're 30. When you're
Nope.
40, 50, you're going to think more things when you get older. Um, and I just feel sad for people growing up old and alone. I don't like that. I don't like
Mhm.
people not having their partner and soulmate be just because they want to be stubborn and foolish and stupid and naive minded and think like, oh, we just need the sex and keep it pushing. You need more than that when you trying to get out of bed and you can't pick up your diaper. Cause even y'all men, y'all penis is gonna stop working eventually. It's that's
Mhm.
why Viagra was invented. Y'all not gonna be able to get it up all the time. And a 20-year-old woman is not going to want to hear you can't get your dick up. So it's like, what is the conversation here that we're having? Why we keep going back and forth and trying to argue with each other instead of learning how and figuring out how we can love each other? I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Yeah. I agree with you in so many respects on that. But I will give you one piece of advice. We're always thinking about sex. That
Right.
but that doesn't mean that's where we operate from. Okay. And I think that is one that's the difference between men and boys, first and foremost. Um, yes, I see a woman I find attractive. Yes, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, yes, I would love to, whether I was single or not. But is my intention to do so? Is that my goal? Most of the time, no. If things present themselves, that's a different story. But
Mm.
is that my goal to try to get her into bed? No, not at all. I said this, and I remember saying this distinctly. And when I was in grad school, when I was talking to young brothers, I said, if you are if one of your goals is to be intimate with a woman, the best thing to do is operate like that's not your goal. Because you
Oh,
are going to foster a real connection. And I don't mean like to bamboozle her. That's not what I mean by that. But I mean that if you come from a place where your goal is to get between her legs, then you're going to, one, paint yourself in a very negative light. And two, you're not going to get what you want for sure. And then three, you're not going to get a chance to know her and who she is. If you're simply looking at her as just a conquest, a piece of behind or whatnot, look, at least be upfront. One of my best friends, he is called the slut of the group.
nah.
My mom calls him Dr. Slut. He used to call when we were in school and he called up and she's like, "What's up, slut?" But he's
Nah.
always been upfront with who he is and what he wants. He has never not been upfront with how he operates. And, you know, that has caused issues in his life to some extent. And as with all of our dealings with women, regardless, whatever, things happen, issues happen. But he has always been honest about who he was and what he's wanted with people. And excuse me, women specifically. And I've always respected him from that with that. And I think that at least the women I know he's dealt with, for the most part, except for that one incident sophomore year or junior year. No, that was senior year. Excuse me, it was senior year. Outside of that, everybody's been very upfront and respectful and understood how he was and how he operated, and he's never had any issues with regards to the women he's dealt with because he's been upfront. But again, he's
Right.
upfront. Most men are not, if that's all they're trying to get. And
Mm.
much like you said, that is the problem. Be honest with what you want. You know what? If I said, hey, Ren, I find you very attractive. I think that we would have good chemistry together in bed. What do you think? That's honest. That's an honest conversation, in my intentions. Hey, this is what I thought. What do you think? If that's not something you're interested in, then you say so. But there's an honest conversation that is had there. It's like, okay, we've done this. I think I'm really looking for more of a sexually intimate relationship with you, and I really like to know if that would happen. Or, I take you all this and I express that. Again, it's expressed, it's on the table, it's being honest. You leave the decision up to the other party if that's something they want to entertain. If they want to be with you in that way, whether they're looking for a relationship or not, they get to make that decision, and everybody's on the same playing field. Now, of course, once you start having sex, yes, there'll get feelings involved in this. That's another conversation. But it is the honesty of it. It is the upfrontness of it, and that is where, again, going back to everything, we lack. We lack when, okay, this man is a good man. Okay, you as a woman. Okay, is this what you want? Do you really want to have this sort of man in your life at this point in time? Can you handle the responsibility of being with this type of man if this is not what you want? Okay, if it's not, then you let him know that, hey, this isn't going to work out. This sort of relationship isn't what I want for my life right now. You be honest
Yeah,
about it.
people are scared of being honest, and that's messed up. I have friends who be straight up front all the time, and they get the woman that they want because they've been honest. Now it's not always 100% of the time, because give her a choice to even say yes or no. Don't lie
Exactly.
and try to mislead her and deceive her into a relationship or into sex, because the truth comes out eventually, and that's why you a creep and a weirdo, because you lied to get her in the
Exactly.
place.
1 second.
So yeah, just be honest. Like, tell a woman, I just want to have sex. Some women are down with that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Tell her, like, I'm married with 5 kids. Let her know that. It's some women down with that too. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with just being honest and upfront for a woman
Exactly.
to decision to even deal with it or don't deal with it. Give her the choice to opt out if she wants to.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I think at the end of the day, it really, like you said, it comes down to just being honest and upfront with your intentions. And that happens, much like you said in other conversations, in the courtship phase. Once you start, that ain't talking, once you start dating, once you start courting, you see where you are, you see if what your goals for a potential relationship align. And that's really where it comes from. And it seems like that don't happen too much nowadays.
Right.
So,
No, they don't, because people are confused between love and lust. They
yes,
just want the sex. They just want to jump right into that 5 minute of pleasure. It's like, I can't deal with that. I want to have sex every day and night. So 5 minutes of me just jumping in the bed with you is not going to do nothing. I need consistency. I need the release all the time. Like, life is stressful. Sex and being in love with someone is supposed to relieve that stress from you. Someone you can lay next to and tell, I had a bad day at work, honey. Really tell me about it, sweetheart, to give that esteem off your shoulder a little bit.
right.
But sex don't mean shit. Sex is just sex. A vibrator for a woman could do the exact same thing in that 5 minutes of you having your sweaty ass body on somebody. So, like, look for more than that, people. If you really want something really concrete, please try to work that out and figure out what you really want. Some people don't really
Yes,
know what they want. They think they want this, but they really want that. You have to figure out what you want before you just enter somebody else's life, and now your lives are combined. It doesn't matter if it's 5, 10 minutes of intimacy. Now y'all connected. it's a connection at the end of the day still, because sex is supposed to be connection. It's supposed to be energies being crossed between each other. So think of it as in that.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree totally with you. But I will say this, and I think this part I'm about to say, I think is probably the hardest part based on what you said, and this is just only because of getting older and changing and growing as a man. I think what you I think sometimes you, as a younger person, you don't know what you need. You don't know what you need in a relationship and a partner. And I think part of that, and this is another subject we can definitely talk about later. I think part of that is because so many of us have never seen it actually modeled.
right.
Like we have never seen, and I said a healthy relationship, just a relationship model. Because I think I don't know your background, but we all a certain age. Like half of us have divorced parents. Um, and even if they remarried, you probably didn't see that sort of loving, nurturing relationship. Not saying they weren't loving and nurturing, but where it taught us anything. Because we're different age, we're older, that sort of thing. And probably the relationships we saw the most were our grandparents or great grandparents. And that sort of love is different than what we experience in our 20s and 30s and 40s and trying to make a life. Like they are set in their ways, they are together, they ain't going nowhere until one of them passes away. Um, you don't necessarily see the same stuff that makes a relationship work in your 80s compared to what makes it work in your 30s. And I think that we never saw those things model. And I would say personally, I'll be honest, in many respects, this whole process has been a learning experience for me and relationships and what I need in a relationship. And even with my spouse, it's we grow, we change. Sometimes our needs change, but other times it's this is what I needed all along. I never understood this because I just didn't know back then, sort of thing. And then communicating that, hey, this is what I need. Like this is where I am. This is what I need in this relationship in order to, I guess, in many respects, be fed by this relationship. And that's a hard conversation to have, personally speaking, but it really comes to much like we said before, where women lock up the cookie shop because they don't really know themselves. They don't know what they need, what they want. And they always go to the sex is the problem. Or I should say lack or sex, cutting off sex as a solution instead of really knowing who they are.
No,
And men the same thing, or just men just do different things stupidly or wisely in order to address that. But women are ones that cut off sex and address everything through
a piece of
sex.
is a piece of it, but it's not the whole solution. You still
No,
have to get to
it's
know.
not.
Russell
Right.
Wilson and Sierra abstained from sex until they got married.
Yes.
And what he did that whole time, courted her, dated her, tried to get to know her, tried to get to know her family. Because when you marry, you marrying everybody. So he got to know this woman, fell in love with this woman, and wanted to be with this woman for the rest of his life. And what's wrong with that, guys? What's the problem?
Nothing.
People be trying to make fun of him. It's like, make fun of him for what? For him, he seemed happy to me. Like you keep, and that's what a lot of people are doing, just pursuing people for. I just want this, and are you going to give me that? No. All right. Thank you. Have a nice day. Yeah. Move on to
Exactly.
you know. Um, I understand why women do say I don't want to have sex because they traumatized. This is it's something that happened that she feels like I did it this way. Let me try something different. But that's only piece of it. You still have to communicate with these people, try to figure out these people, try to get to know these people, and it's also a flip side because it's like men want to be pursued nowadays too. Usually back in the day, women was the one being pursued. You ask the woman out on a date, you want the woman to like a submissive to you, that means you have to be the leader and up front. You have to be up front. You got to court. You got to date. You got to put in the effort. You got to put in the work. Now some men want the woman to do the courting and the effort and all that. And I'm just like, oh, you want it's so much going on nowadays because of this dumbass internet. It's so annoying to me, these conversations, because it's like you
Yeah.
meet more people outside the internet than you do on the
Yes. I don't
internet.
think I have never of married people, single people I know, male and female, I have never heard them speak the way these people on the internet do. Now, I've
Right.
heard them tell me stories that go along with some of these people on the internet, but I've never heard them talk in a way, have a viewpoint in a way of anybody. Like I saw something today, the whole 50-50 thing. And we touched on that last time. Like you 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 work to earn what you get in a relationship. That's men and women. I would say. Nobody's entitled to anything. But just from a math standpoint, okay, you expect this man to come in and to pay 100% of everything. Or mind you, 100% of everything is more than what he was paying by himself because now he's taking care of two. So everything is double. So you literally want him to come in and pay 200% of what you were paying.
Mm,
And you want to be able to do what you want to do with your money. Again, that's your prerogative. That's what you want. But let's really think about it. So if a man can't do that, you don't have nothing to do with it. So you would rather be alone and pay 100% of everything than have a man and pay 50% of everything. Let's just say a
right.
partner. That the math doesn't work for me. It doesn't because
Mm,
I sit here and I scratch my head and I say, I ain't never, and I mean never, no married couple I know, they went into it like, okay, I'm gonna pay 100% everything, babe. Blah blah blah. It may have evolved into that because of career choices in life and having kids and everything. But near one of them that I know, my age group, people I know have gotten married, it started out of that woman was only marrying him because he's paying 100% of everything. Never happened. There's not a conversation that was there. There was not a requirement for marriage and a relationship. And the fact that now, and this is like I was telling my friend because he brought this up in our conversation when he was talking about his church group, and I said, especially being in the Washington D.C. area. So you're telling me, and I'm thinking, okay, the women he's probably meeting, people in his family, okay, so everybody here is probably some sort of government employee, whether it's state, DC. You work you making more than likely high five figures to low six figures off the rip. Let's be realistic, and we know damn well bring home when you bring it home, ain't much difference between 60 and 80,000 dollars a year. Not a whole lot of difference in your paycheck. So if you're a woman and you're looking for someone to pay 100%, and you're already making higher end five figures, your pool is decreased. And that's just math. Okay. That's just absolute math. Your pool is decreasing the amount of men you could possibly find. Okay. Because you wanted to be 100%. Why would you logically reduce your sample size of finding the sort of man that will love you, take care of you, be there for you? do everything in his power to provide for you, even if he's paying 50-50. Because I think this is something that I think in these conversations that these women don't get. And this is literally something my friend and I were talking about. You as my woman, you value me. You make me feel like that I am worth something to you, that my existence matters to you. I don't care how much I'm making. I would do whatever I can to support you, to support our household, to take as much of a load off of you as I can. Because you validate me. That's something that's never had in these conversations. They never talk about, okay, no, you make me feel like I am worthwhile in this relationship. You give a damn about me. You go out of your way to take care of me and make sure I'm okay. Oh, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you're okay. It won't
Mm.
matter what is like. And when they talk about the money aspect, it's like you don't talk about the real world implications of just being with somebody. You talk about what bill they can pay when you just reduce it to I want them to be 100%. I want them to be a provider. Provider's not paying 100% of the bills.
When you get into a relationship for selfish reasons in the first place, it's just not going to work because there's plenty of stories of women who feminine friendly in order for her to be married. Cool. And you supposed to make six figures, right? 6 feet tall, six figures, six
Hmm.
pack. That's the idea of that. What they say is supposed to be the marriage and how you get married and how you have success. Cool. You making six figures at this corporation, you work with CEOs, they give you this money, and then all of a sudden the CEO goes bankrupt. Now you're fired. So no more six figures because of that. So now you have this woman who's still fit, still feminine, still friendly, but you lost that six figures. So the marriage contract, you supposed to say six figures. You're supposed to say the six pack. No, things change in an instant. The universe will humble you real quick. Things change, guys. So if you married somebody for selfish reasons, egotistical reasons, and then that piece of the puzzle is missing, now
Hmm.
you feel entitled, like, oh well, you lost your money. So now I gotta go and find me another rich man. And then you sitting there like, well, I thought you were supposed to marry me. Why did you think that? You married me because I'm fit, feminine, friendly. You married me. If I gained 20 pounds right now, you would leave me. So I'm just leaving you before you leave me. So if the conversations we having is dumb because you get in
Hmm.
relationships for selfish reasons and then you wondering why the relationship ended in the first place. Because people change, people grow older, people body is not going to be as elastic as it was back in the day. Your ego is what gets you in trouble. My friend who is a firefighter making six figures now, he's miserable in his marriage, and he keeps talking about all these women that he's been with, but none of them stayed. I keep trying to tell him why ain't they staying? Well, I don't know. What you mean you don't know? You're making the six figures, right? You got the six pack, you got the big penis, is what he likes to say. Why ain't these women staying with you? Because you're an asshole. That's why they're not staying with you. That's just the
Yep.
part. Because you think you're the alpha male, you think you deserve this, you think you deserve that, and they using you for your money. You're mad that they're using you for your money, but you're leading with the money being used.
Yep.
So you're not looking for someone to care and love you for you. You're looking for somebody to just to boost your ego another 10, 20 minutes. It's dumb, the conversations. It's the dumbest conversations be had all the time because they think
It
they
is.
can't tell them that they wrong. Because in their head, well, I get the women, you get the women, but the women don't stay. I can get a man, but that doesn't mean he's going to stay. None of that means anybody really going to be there for you, because if you lead with selfishness, they only going to be with you for selfish reasons.
Right. Right. Exactly. And that, I think that's a perfect way to put it. And especially to talk about the different sides of the same coin when it comes to men and women. You may have all of those things, but if you have not worked on yourself, if you are if you're not a good person, then that none of those things matter. Ren, I'm gonna yeah, man, we've been talking for a while. But where can everybody find you?
On Instagram, Silly_Weaver, and you can check me on Webster Styles YouTube channel as well. I still have the Red Room YouTube channel posted up as well. You can watch some of my old videos too. Thank you always, Webster. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you as well. All right, guys.